So, welcome back. We start with good news and better news. It all depends how you feel. It can be better or it can be good. The better news is that your test is no longer on the 3rd. The good news is it's the week after vacation. After vacation. So it all depends how you look at it. It's either good or it's better. Since you offered, I shall make it like you said. Yes? I shall make it more difficult since I'm not finished yet. Since June wants to, so I shall make it more difficult. He is right. You have more time to study, so I need to make it more difficult. Yes? So, today hopefully, we shall finish 4.3, 4.4, and hopefully 4.5. 4.3 and 4.4 are exactly the same thing. 4.4 is the same thing as 4.3. And 4.3 is a extension of 4.1. So what is your test week? I think I already said it. Chapter 1 to 5. Paper 1 and paper 2. So let us start. You already know this. You've been through it. You've seen it before. Linear equations. Yes, June knows it, so we can continue to 4.5. So, as I stated in the beginning of class, the most dangerous sign there is in mathematics is the equal sign. Yes. Borrow a book from? The most dangerous sign in mathematics is the equal sign. Because you're saying the exact same thing that is on your left is the exact same thing that is on your right. So if you start making equations and start write 3x plus 5 equals 7 equals 10, I will not even look at it anymore, because that is not the same thing. What do I mean? When making these types of equations, you do not work from left to right. You work from top to bottom. Yes. Yes and no. Yes and no. What do I mean? With the equal sign. A lot of people, they do stuff like this. Of course, the numbers make no sense, but you do this. This is saying 3x plus 7 is the same thing as 10, which is the same thing as 15 minus 7, which is the same thing as 3. It is not the same thing. So when you work equations, it's from top to bottom. Because equal sign means whatever you have here is the same thing as what you have there. That is the equal sign. So make sure you know how to work. The most dangerous sign in mathematics, the equal sign. So we start off easy. Yes. Sorry? If I'm recording, yes. So I have 3. I multiply that number with a number. I add 5 to it, and it becomes 14. The easiest way to look at it is something plus 5 equals 14. That's the easiest way to look at it. So how do I get to that boxed number? All right, it's 14 minus 5. That is easy. So this item is worth 9. And then we remove that item and say, well, actually it's 3x. 3 multiplied by a number equals 9. How do you get to that number? You divide, and then the answer is 3. Yes, of course, this you cannot do in the exam. This is just me teaching you what you're supposed to be doing. In the exam, you just leave it 3x. Easy. Another one. 4x minus 7 equals, whoops, 13. Something, when I subtract it from 7, that equals 20. Sorry, that equals 13. Correct. It's 13. You add 7. So 4x equals 20. So 4 multiplied by a specific number, that equals 20. 20 divided by 4, and that equals 5. Yes? Easy. You already know this. Now, we have 2 linear equations next to each other. For example, how do you proceed now? I understand completely what you mean. Now, we will organize what you just said. We'll organize. Remember, going from Form 3 to the rest of your education, we will try to shape the way you think and explain. The first step is all the variables on one side, all the constants on the other side. What is a variable? A variable is, for example, 4x. What is a constant? For example, number 7. That is a constant. Now, you place all the variables on one side and you place all the constants on another side to keep it in balance. So 4x is a variable equals, and you look for the other variable, it's 5x. Now, when it moves over the equal sign, the operator changes. So here, it is positive. So when I move over the equal sign, it becomes negative. Correct. Here I have minus 15x. Sorry, minus 15. I have positive 7 that has to go to the other side. Correct. that becomes minus 7. Add them together, you have minus x equals minus 22. So x equals 22. You divide minus 1 by minus 22, which is positive.
So, when you switch from the positive becomes negative and the negative becomes positive.
Correct. Easy peasy. Of course, you can get them like this. You already know how to multiply. This becomes 20x plus 5 equals 185. 4.3 is 4.1, is extended 4.1. So before going to 4.3, you should know 4.1. Yes. Switch places? What do you mean switch places? We will get there. We will get there. Then you will see. I think I know what you mean. Let me put it like this better. Once you see the problem, then you come to me. I've noticed in many classes, students, which is good, go like, but what if it's like that? Until you see it, then you come to me. If it's never explained, don't bother with, but what if? Until you don't see it, don't worry about it. Yes? Until you don't see it. So, what do we have? We've done this before. All these are too easy. I need something difficult. Wait, nothing is difficult. I just remember. All right. Slightly less easy because everything is easy. In order to do this, you should have done 4.1. Equal, what is 11? 11. So how do you make it the exact same way? There is something, I add it with 5, and that has to be 11. So that something equals 11 minus 5, which equals 6. That something equals 6. But that something is not, or let me say, that something is actually something divided by 2, and that equals 6. And how do I get to that something? You multiply the answer with the denominator. So your answer is 12. 12 divided by 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Add 5, 11. Wow. Extremely easy. Now, do we have something? Yes. Mm-hmm.
So when this division result, it's you have to multiply.
You have to look at, one can say, the reason why you're doing something. It's 6. You're saying, or the problem is, I have something, when I divide that something by 2, that is 6. Yes? So how do I get to that something? I have to divide a number by 2 and that equals 6. So what do? I multiply the denominator with the answer. Yes. The one above which one? 4. For what?
I need that 2 times. So you do the
Where? E?
yeah. To time it or do you find?
Do you times it or do you?
Do you multiply or do you divide?
You tell me what you need to do. You tell me. When you divide or multiply? Multiply? Why do you need to multiply? To get the answer? If I divide, I also get an answer. If you divide or multiply, both answers are minus. You ask me, what do you need to do? Divide or multiply? It's the exact same problem we just faced. The inverse. You have to understand the principle of what you're doing. Because as we progress, you have to know the basics before you can proceed. Maybe from 1 and 2, the answer will always given, bam, no, 5, no, you have to do this, you have to do that. But especially going to Sept, they're going to trigger you as to what do you have to do. In Sept mathematics, you have 3 profiles. One is K, knowledge. The other is C, comprehension. And the other one is R for reasoning. So when you make the exam, you get graded for each of these profiles, from A to F, on all of the 3 profiles. K, A, C, B, R, F, doesn't matter. The most complicated ones, which most people receive a low score for, is R. It's reasoning. For example, I'm going to give you a problem. Someone goes to the park, mostly reduxism. Someone goes to the park and a whole story. The question is, in that whole story, I've given you this equation, but can you see it? Yes, your reasoning. Can you see something? Can you see a problem? And then find out, okay, you know what? I think he means this, so I have to divide x by 22. I cannot go about and you have to do this. This is the answer. Do this is the answer. Do this is the answer. Because when the test comes, you'll be like, what do I have to do? Because you never thought for your own, which is reasoning. Knowledge, most people score high in knowledge because you know how to multiply, divide, and so forth. But when it comes to comprehension, then you get stuff like this. Do you comprehend? Do you understand what is written there? A number plus 6 equals 11. That's what's written there. And then the reasoning goes on. How do you get to this answer? That's the reasoning. How do you get there? And then you make this part is technically reasoning. Yeah, give or take. Reasoning. Yes? K, understand that this is addition, this is equal sign. You comprehend that you have 2 numbers and they equal 11. You add them together, equal 11. And then the reasoning, how you get to this answer. Most people score very bad for reasoning. And when you go to college, the only thing that gets challenged is reasoning. That's the only thing that matters in college, reasoning, that's it. Applying what you've learned, applying this in real life. Teacher, how do I use X? How do I use X? It's easy. I'm not sure if I told you guys the story. Last year, well, you guys were informed. They did from 1 and 2, uncertain. I was sitting in the office and they told me, can you, for trimester 3, what is the lowest score a student has to a thing to pass. They asked me that in trimester 3 for all the students. And guess what? What is that? That is x and y. I use this equation. Oh, when you count everything together, I have to divide the total number by 5, depending the test, and that has to equal 55, at least. That's an equation. Put in Excel, this is x. How do I get to that? X equals 55 multiplied by 5. So the student has to get a total score of at least, what is this? 270. Minus all the ones you already got. So he needs to get, for example, at least 75, example, for the exam. Oh, 275, yes. So I got to this answer and then subtracted all the grades you already received, and boom, that pops out the answer. X and Y. What is it? Reasoning. They come with a problem to you. How do you solve it? Reasoning. It's not, why do I use X? Why do I use X plus 5? Why is 3 minus? Why do I have to? In real life, this is what you're going to use. You just don't know how to apply it yet. Especially those going to engineering, science. Science, you live on this. You live on reasoning. You live on it. Applying stuff in real life. I taught you 3x plus 5 is 10. How do you apply it in real life? Yes. You do 22 multiplied by minus 3. Correct. That is why, as I stated in the beginning, I asked you guys, do you guys know you chose the most difficult package there is? You said yes. All right. It is good that you know that you chose the most difficult package. Because after your studies, it will not become easier. It will become less easy. Focus on the reasoning. Why am I doing what I'm doing? The science classes normally are always further than any other class. Here we only have general and science. Normally you have arts, science, languages, business, different subjects. The science classes are always further because the reasoning is much better. You have to be able to understand something like that. Because that is what is expected of you afterwards. Yes? I want to become a lawyer, doctor. All right, you have to do this, da 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 da. All right, that's it. What? I don't understand. This? I don't understand. That's your problem. See you next week. They're not going to keep explaining it to you and explaining it. Your reasoning has to go up. So, the way you work, even, again, science from all the other subjects, packages, they're different. Science people are always in the corner somewhere working. Always. They're not doing, let me chill, relax and take. They don't have the time. Ask any profession you want to become later on. Engineer, doctor, whatever. Pilot, whatever. In school, what do you do? What did you do? I sat on my phone and did nothing the entire. They didn't do that. Science, you don't have the time. Because you have to deal with a lot of reasoning. A lot of problems comes your way. You should be able to deal with them. So, and then you get to these equations, which you already made in 4.1. You already made this in 4.1. Let's check D. When you're science, you always say, I need the most difficult one. I leave easy things for the other packages. You want it to be difficult. Yes, your mindset has to change. You want it to be more difficult. If you don't want it to be more difficult, then you are not in the right package. So, what does my comprehension say? My comprehension says I have a number which is equal to another number when I add 9 to it. I look at basically, I don't even look at the difficult thing. Oh, that's a number, add it. It's the same thing as another number added with 9. It's the same thing. Yes. Sing, on a 6, 106. So what is the first step? I have brackets. So you remove the brackets. That's the first step.
This week I left my bag in here.
No problem. So what did we do in 4.1? I need what? The lowest common multiple. That's the next step of 3 and 5. What's the lowest common multiple in 3 and 5? Of 3 and 5? 15. So what do? Multiply everything with 15. Lowest common multiple in 3 of 3 and 5. And then you can either multiply 15 with 30 and so forth, or since you practice enough and your science, and that is what you do, you can say, well, teacher, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to divide 15 by 3, and that is 5. And then I get this. $90, this becomes 45, 135. And then you proceed. And then we are back to our original problem. All variables on one side, all constants on the other side. 10x this is 148. Bam! That's the answer. How do you get there? By practicing. It's the only way. There is no other way. No other way. In order to get here, you need 4.1. If you don't do 4.1, you're not gonna get here. And then we finally reach 4.4. Yes. Inequalities. What are inequalities? The same thing as linear equations, just easier. In inequalities, you get the exact same exercises. There's no difference. The only difference is the sign of equals changes. That's it. An inequality. So in inequality, you have these symbols. equal to or less than. So you get the same exercise. Which exercise? 3x plus 5, bam, 14. Get the same thing. So, how do you read it? You're saying, I have this linear equation, 3x plus 5. When I place a number in x, the answer has to be less than 14. That's what you're saying. The other one was equal, like equal. When I place an x, it has to be exactly 14. Now, when I have an x, it has to be less than 14. Sorry? Correct. So, how do we make it the exact same way? No difference. Zero difference. So, something, yes? What do you mean?
So let's say you put 3x back to 11, and then you minus 14, and you have 6 left. Is that 14x? Or you still use the calculator?
No, exact same thing. So you still have something at 5 is less than 14. So I have a number, when I add it to 5, it's less than 14. The first step is to know which one equals exactly 14, which is what plus 5 equals 14. So that number is supposed to be less than 9, but it's not a box. It's 3x. So what do I do? So how do you say this answer? When x is less than 3. So if I place 2.99999, it's less than 14. All numbers less than 3, you make it the exact same way. It's just the way you say it is differently. 3x plus 5 is less than 14. So x has to be less than 3. Subtract 3 from the 4? What do you mean? 3 from 14? Why do I want to subtract 3 from 14? Sorry? To get to x? I want to understand what you are understanding. This is a variable, and these are constants. Go back to chapter 1. Remember, if I say 3 minus 4a equals what? It stays the same. You cannot subtract variables from constants. It stays the same. So if I make it the exact same way as the previous ones, x plus 5. What is a variable? 3x. So my constants have to go to the other side. This is already on its right place. Symbol comes back. 14. What is a constant? The 5. 5 goes on the other side. Becomes minus 5. So 3x is less than 9. How do I get to x? You divide 9 by 3, and your answer is 3. Now, less than 3. So how do you check your answer? Placing this 3 there. 3 times 3 plus 5 equals 9 plus 5 equals 14. Yes, it's 14. But here I have written less than 3. That means if I take my calculator and if I say 3 multiplied by 2.99, because it's less than 3, add 5, it's less than 14. And I am correct. It's 13.97. Anything that is less than 3. Do not think of only whole numbers. We will get to there when we get to sets. You should already know it technically. Whole numbers, integers, natural numbers. No, this is the answer. X is less than 3. Sorry? What does the answer state? The answer state when x is less than 3, then it's less than 14. When x is less than 3, then my answer is also less than 14. You have to understand the language that is written. 3 multiplied by x plus 5 is less than 14. So I need to place an x here. So when I multiply 3 with that x and add 5, it's less than 14. So what x do I have to place there? An x that is less than 3. There is not much other way to explaining it. The first thing you have to understand is how to make these. That's the first step. That's the first step. If these pose a problem, inequalities will face or pose a greater problem. Start by understanding this first, and then move on to inequalities. What is this sign? What is this? Equals what? 14. What is my answer? And that's why I use 2.99. I would like to see if this 3 equals 14 first. Because if it equals 12, something is wrong. I need to know first what x equals. This is 4.3 extended version. You have to understand the equal sign first. When x equals 3, my answer is 14. So which x equals less than 14? Any number that is below 3. For example, 2.99. That is below 3. 1, minus 5. 0.53965. Pi minus 1. Anything less than 3. In this case. It's about understanding the language that is written here. This is the language. You have to understand what is written. I have to place an x value, and that x value has to be, or when I multiply that x with 3 at 5, the answer has to be less than 14. Which x do I have to place in order to it to become less than 14? A number that is less than 3. It has to be less than 3. Any number, 2.997258, 1.35729. The first step is, what is equal? So technically that's what you're doing. Another one. So what is written? 2x minus 5 is less than or equal to 7. I have to place an x value there, and the answer has to be 7 or less than 7. How do you make it? The exact same way. No difference. Done. When x is 6 or less than 6, my answer is 7 or less than 7, depending on which x I choose. If I choose x is 6, my answer is 7. If I choose an answer that is less than 6, my answer is also less than 7. When x equals 6, my answer is 7. If I choose an x that is lower than 6, then my answer is also lower than 7. For example, if I choose 2, 2 times 2 is 4, minus 5, minus 1. Yes, minus 1 is less than 7. .3 first, and then you can continue to 4.4. This is not something new, especially 4.3. Yes, we love it. We love mathematics, science. Yes, we love mathematics. When you're science, the base foundation of everything is mathematics. Depending what you want to do, biology, mathematics, chemistry, mathematics, physics, mathematics. Everything is mathematics. Everything. So, I will leave it here. I will say again, you have access to me 24/7. It is advised that you practice and just send them to me. Teacher, look what I made. Is it correct? Yes or no? So for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, is your exam, paper 2. What I have seen so far, directly after a vacation, the scores are extremely bad. And I mean less than 30 bad.